Welcome to Rhythm of Love, the podcast. I'm Clarence.
And I'm Yalonda. We celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary by writing a book together about what it took to get us here.
And in this podcast, we go deeper and break down what we learned along the way. We hope you enjoy and engage.
Comment, share, and subscribe. We'd love to hear what you have to say about what it takes to make relationships last.
Yes, we will.
Hello, lovelies.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to Rhythm of Love, the podcast, episode 15.
To sing these songs?
Episode 15. Is that better?
Nah, it's not better or worse. It's the way you talk.
I'm Yalonda.
I'm Clarence.
And we wrote a book to celebrate our 25th anniversary called Rhythm of Love, 25 Things that 25 Years of Marriage Has Taught Us. And we're on year 28. And we have a little bit more to say. So here we are with the podcast.
I mean, as we are working our way through chapters of the book, as you know, more expansive on different things that we talked about in the book, but also as new things kind of come up and kind of happen,
yes,
we talk about those things too. So welcome. We're glad you're here. Shout out to all of the people who have been here before. Yes. Like, share, and subscribe, please. We are still pushing to get our numbers up, and you are how we do that. So we appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you.
So what's on? Oh, okay. So I was going to say what's on the agenda for today.
Right.
But we got to start with the number one topic.
Yes. Number one topic. I'll let you open the door on that.
All right. So as many of you know, this podcast, the very first episode of this podcast was filmed at the Kev on Stage Studios in the San Fernando Valley of California. We flew out there, and our goal with our prayers and our efforts and putting action behind our faith was that we would get an opportunity to just meet Kev on stage, to invite him to come on to, at the time, our Sunday night show. And we went through the whole exercise, and we had a great time and met lots of friends, but unfortunately, just wasn't our time to meet Kev on stage. So we didn't meet him. And a lot of you already know this story. But
one day last week,
get
a text, a mysterious text in the middle of the day.
So my best friend, a guy who I've been friends with since I was a freshman in high school. And, you know, he's the best man in my wedding. I was the best man in his wedding, all those kinds of things. He goes on vacation. In fact, I talked to him right before he went on vacation. I talked to him the first 3 days of his vacation. Like, he was like, hey, you know, we're doing this, and then we're going to do this other stuff. He sends me this text in the middle of the day. He sends both of us. It's a group text. And I'm going to let you guys see the video on the text.
Clarence and Yalonda, what y'all doing? I'm here with Paul. Okay? Y'all ain't here.
Supposed to be here, bro.
You're supposed to be here. He said y'all sent all the video. Where you be at? Y'all at the house, y'all at work, and now look what you missed. See, that's why y'all got to come when the group goes on vacation. You got to sign up and you got to go. But anyway, thank y'all for the love and support. Have a great day. I know you're jealous. You got to be. and that's sometimes just how it works. Paul didn't deserve this, but he got it. God's favor.
Yes, sir.
We were like, what?
What just happened here? the shock and awe of what just happened on this video is just absolutely bananas. You know,
we flew all the way to California. We made an appointment to use the Kev on Stage Studios to record our very first episode. And
my friend goes on vacation.
Just randomly going on vacation
and runs into Kev on stage on the other side of the other side of the country. Like, you know, they're from California. They're in St. Thomas and the Bahamas and all these places over on the East Coast, and he runs into Kev on stage, and then he gets
Kev on stage was very cordial and funny. Funny guy. Just does that video.
And what I said to Yalonda was, it lets me know two things. First, that Jesus got jokes.
Jokes on jokes.
Jesus got jokes, man. Jesus got jokes. That's how I feel about it. Jesus got jokes.
Because he could have told us, save your money. Don't fly across the country.
Go on vacation. Don't worry about this.
Yeah, instead of just, we did have a vacation. We had a good time. We did meet a lot of friends that we know but don't see often.
Correct.
Or ever.
A lot of people we've met on Twitch. So that's what we say. A lot of people we've met virtually that we never met in person. We got to meet on this trip to California.
Break bread with and have a good time. Yeah. So it wasn't a waste at all.
It wasn't a waste at all. I mean, in fact, it was so far from a waste that
we came home happy.
Right.
You know, we missed Kev on stage, but we did get to meet his producer and sound guy.
Yes.
Or at least
both
of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
at least two guys that we know.
Yeah,
yes.
2 people on his staff. They were great to us, treated us very well. Professional studio. If you need a place to record yourself or behind a mic, that's a great place to do it. You know, wins all around.
Right.
I'm just a little, just a tad bit disappointed, but not very much.
Not very much. So that's the first thing.
Hilarious.
We think Jesus got jokes. But the second thing is that it just wasn't our turn. It just wasn't our time. That's what we figured out. That we're doing what we're doing, and
we're just gonna keep doing it.
We're gonna keep doing what you're going, because this thing keeps getting closer and closer and closer to us. You know. So and what my buddy said today when I talked to him. He said, all of this will be the material that you guys discuss when you guys
meet. Actually meet?
This will be the
They're afraid they don't want to meet us now. They're like, y'all are stalkers galore. We're not.
I ain't stalking nobody.
I mean, we aren't. We wouldn't even know how. We don't have time.
We don't have time.
However,
but but that's what he said. He said, that is a great origin story when you sit down and you talk to a person and say,
we certainly will not have nothing to talk about.
We circled your orbit.
Have nothing.
Even unintentionally at times, circled your orbit.
Yeah, there's just, as we said, there are some similarities between our relationship and theirs, and the churchy background, and so much that we have in common.
Yeah.
The books coming out in the same year.
The books came out within months of each other.
Without us knowing that they did. They
didn't know they were writing a book.
Yeah. We didn't really know everything about them. We just kind of followed Kev on stage on
YouTube, and not really YouTube, mostly Facebook Reels and IG.
Yeah.
But that is to say, we still here. We still cranking. We still cranking. And when we do actually meet, I think it'll be excellent.
It'll be interesting.
It'll be excellent. It's out. Yes. It'll be interesting. So yes, that's fair enough. So, all right. So that's a lighthearted, and not the rest of it's gonna be lighthearted.
It's just like, what happened to us this week?
Wow, it's just crazy. So, but our actual topic this week also happened based on something happened this week. It's not in the book, but we figured
we should talk about
it because we recognize
we're going through.
Right, we recognize that, and we've said this before, that in this space we are a little bit farther along in our life's journey than most people. We're a little older than most of the people in this space. We have, our daughter will be 24 in December. Our son will be 20, has just turned 20 in May. So we're a little bit farther down the road than some of these other people.
With our 20 years of marriage.
Right. So we're experiencing some things kind of for the first time with our son because, you know, he is a typically developing kid, unlike our daughter who has an autism diagnosis, but he's a typically developing kid. So we're experiencing a bunch of new things, and, you know, we're trying to figure out what to do and what not to do. And I'm not 100% sure we're getting it right, but we're swinging.
How can you? I mean, he is a great person, great guy. So I think that we must be doing something right.
The question is, you know, that's a different question. People always say, is it biology or is it rearing?
I'm sure it's a little bit of both.
It could be.
I'm sure it's a little bit of both. I mean, he's my child, so he had to be great.
He is not your child. He is you. He is you in the male form. He is you.
Yes, we have a lot of similarities.
Not your child. He is you in the male form. No, and not to say that Simone is not me in the female form, but
exactly.
I don't think she is. She's a little wilder than me, but that's because
she lacks the filters that you might have,
right? Okay,
or that you learn to have over time.
So here was the question. So okay, let's start with a couple of things. We're going to go with this specific question that came up today, or came up this week. So we're going to go with that, but we can branch off into some other stuff.
Sure.
Okay. So he's home for the summer from school. You know, he goes to school in New Jersey, and he's home for the summer for school. And, you know, he's been working at the rock climbing gym not in our neighborhood, but in our vicinity. He is going back to school this weekend. This is his final week home. He's headed back to school.
Sniff, sniff.
And I mentioned to Yalonda when he went away to school that she needed to prepare herself for the fact that he may never live here again.
Yeah, I mean, if I go by my own personal experience, I left home as a freshman, and I returned once, and I would say you returned again.
And I would say you returned the winter of your freshman year.
Winter of my freshman year, I went home between semesters, and that was the last time I went home. I mean, you know, obviously, to stay. So I brought some bags with me with some stuff and stayed for a while. Right.
You might have had a couple of visits here and there.
Yes.
My television is part of one of them visits when you had
that was the winter. No, it couldn't have been my freshman winter.
No, I didn't know you.
Maybe I was home a couple of times, or maybe we just put the TV there because you didn't have anywhere else to put it. I don't know. Why was there a TV there?
Maybe there was a period of time. Maybe it just was a window that you had to deal with.
Like a spring break or something. I don't know.
Just a window where, you know, you would transition. I think it was you didn't immediately move in after the end of the semester, and sometimes you got to go home for a couple of weeks before the summertime session starts. Okay. You get your housing for the summer and things like that.
It was many years ago.
So
forgive us the ramble on that detail.
Right. And the reason we bring up that television is because it's a churchy background story. It was the Yalonda. He had a nice size TV that he had brought to campus with him. And I didn't want to take it all the way back to my parents' house, so I said, "Can you take it home with you for a couple of weeks, and then you can just use it in your apartment, and that would be fine." And she did. And then I came to her house, a week later or so, not even to pick the TV up, to pick you up.
Yeah. And I was getting ready.
And it was the week of the NBA playoffs were going on. So I said, well, while you get dressed, I will sit here and watch.
And watch in your bedroom and watch.
Right. So she's in the bathroom. I'm in her bedroom. All the doors are open. This is actually a perfect thing because you were at least 20 years old, and I know I was 22 or 23, 22 years old when this happened. So
we're around there.
So we're at her parents' house when this happens, and when her mother now
at some point we come downstairs.
Nope.
I'm finished getting ready.
At some point, your mother calls you downstairs and says, "I need to talk to you."
Okay, all right.
And she says, and then y'all have a conversation. Then you come back upstairs and you say, "My mother doesn't want you in my room watching the TV." And I said, "But y'all don't."
We didn't have a TV in the living room.
They had a TV in the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
And it was one of the camping TV. TV. I'm going to show an image of what the TV looked like when I showed this video. It was the little teeniest TV.
Make the screen too small. I think it was like a 10-inch.
It might have been a 9-inch television screen, if that much. Black and white. With rabbit ears on it. Not even cable. You had to, tune that thing to. And I'm trying to watch the NBA playoffs, and this is what I'm watching it on. And I said, "You mean to tell me that I can't watch my TV in this room while you're in an entirely different room of the house?" And because of the avoidance, the appearance of
sin, evil, whatever. Name your version of the Bible. We were going by a King James version at that point, and it was the appearance of. We were shunning the appearance of evil.
If it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so
everybody is home, the doors are open. But just the fact that someone could come into our house and see you walk down those steps and just have all kinds of imaginings of what you must have been doing when you were up there. And none of them include watching the NBA game.
I was watching the NBA. So that's why we talk about that television, because that was a crazy experience. But
the story is relevant to what we're saying today, what we want to talk about today. Which is, how do you, there's a transition period, which we are in with our second born, where you're an adult by legal standards in terms of you're over 18. You spend most of your time on a college campus,
right,
away from home, autonomous, making your own decisions.
Correct.
And you come home for a little while. And then how do we parent you?
Right.
How do we, what kind of restrictions are we putting on you, knowing that for 9 months out of the year, you are
managing yourself,
your own self, what you're going to do and with whom and everything.
Right. So that is the question that we are struggling with. Is probably too strong, but that is certainly what we're
dealing with right now, that we're, navigating
right
at this point in time.
So he has some friends he's known a long time, a couple of young girls. That sounds terrible.
Right.
A couple of young women, a couple of young women
who are his
age,
best friends from high school,
and they are home as well for the break, and everybody is leaving or will be leaving soon.
Fairly soon.
So they decided they wanted to do a get together at one of the girls' houses
and stay over and hang out all night and do whatever.
And the parents are home, so it's not a situation where it's unsupervised. The parents are home, but I was struggling with whether or not,
like, there's little circumstance where your son can come to you and say, "Yeah, I'm going to spend the night over this girl's house," and you're just like, "Okay, cool."
All right.
The same one that you're feeding, that you're paying for the car to get fixed, that you're,
paying for everything,
providing everything for.
Am I ready,
for the most part,
to co-sign spending the night at?
And this is completely platonic as far as we know. They've been friends for years and have behaved as friends. It's not like they used to date and then they stopped dating. They never dated.
So am I comfortable with co-signing spending the night at another person, at a woman, first of the opposite sex's house?
Yeah.
Am I comfortable with that? And I'm not sure I am.
Initially, you right. Yeah, I think you still aren't very comfortable.
I'm not. So
you're just not standing in the way of joy.
Joy? I'm not sure. Joy?
That's not joy to be hanging out with your friends.
I don't know.
With no one has to get in the car and go home.
So I would, of course. So there's a couple of levels to this. There is the foundational level is I was his age.
All right.
And I know.
And you had female friends as well that you were in platonic relationships with, who you hung out with.
Yeah, I did. I did. I had, and I still had, and I still do. But
all these people, and
right. But I don't know that I was spending the night over their house at this age. Now, I had not at this age.
Well, what age then?
So when I didn't have a car, and I was still in high school, I spent the night at one of my friends' houses. Just the only one I've ever spent the night at her house. And, her parents were there, and I'm still friends with their family to this day. I mean, I see her dad in the grocery store sometime, and he hugs me and treats me like a son.
Right,
so
you can relate on some levels.
Yeah, so I get it. But I also know that I don't want. I also know that temptation exists, and it existed for me, and it exists for everybody. In my opinion, it exists. So because it exists, I don't want to co-sign.
Right.
I don't want to put him in a position to have to make that decision, even though he probably is making those decisions for himself. I hope it's not all the time.
All the time. But I mean,
periodically. We'll just say periodically he's making those decisions. It may be all the time, but I hope it's just periodically. All the time be tough on a brother.
All the time would be tough. But okay, so he has some experience making those decisions.
Yes, he does. So that's my foundational issue, is that I was his age, and I know the thoughts.
You remember yourself,
and whether there were actions on them or whether there was things that came from them or not. I remember the thoughts, and I don't want him to be in that place. I don't want to co-sign him in that place, because what that means to me is I'm okay with it and I'm good with it. And the answer is I'm kind of in the middle on it right now as he's going through his transitionary period. If once you get old enough to manage the consequences of your actions.
Right. Because at this point, we would be managing some of those, depending on the consequence. Doesn't
even matter what the consequence is. If it's a personal thing where it's, an STD, we still manage that. If it's a long-term thing like a pregnancy, we manage that too.
Right. I just mean sometimes, it could just be as simple as you lose a friend. Sometimes when you
we manage that too. We don't, not at the same level as the others, but we manage that too. We are the ones who are
support system,
are picking him up when he's down and trying to, especially you. He don't come to me for support, emotional support. He don't think I have no emotions. So,
dude, let's not go there.
I think I have no emotions, and that's fine. That's fine. As long as he get it from somewhere, I'm good. Somewhere some person I trust, I'm good.
Okay.
So again, that's my first level. My second level is when I was his age, legitimately his age, going out at night, the rules for me were, it doesn't really matter what time you come home, but you come home.
Come home.
And if you're going to be out past 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, well, let me rephrase this. Before you leave, you establish a time that you plan to be home.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to miss that time, it's okay. Just call, tell me what the new time is, and make that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so...
Yeah, but it was never, I'll see you tomorrow.
It was never, I'll see you tomorrow. Not until I may have been a year or 2 older than he is now, was the first time. I mean, I remember vividly my father saying the words to me, "Will you be home tonight?" when I was leaving. It was like 10 o'clock. And I was
well, because it was 10 o'clock.
But it was always 10 o'clock. You don't go to the, it was always 10 or 11 o'clock. You're going to the midnight shows. You know, if you're going to a nightclub, it don't really get popping until about 12. So you're not even leaving to go out for this adventure, whatever that night's adventure is, until 10 or 11 o'clock.
Sure.
So the time leaving wasn't unusual.
Okay.
What was unusual was
him saying, "Are you coming home?
Are you coming home tonight?" And my immediate response to him was, I never even considered that to be an option.
Okay.
I said, but now that you put it on the table, I'll let you know. I plan to be home at 2, but I'll let you know.
Okay.
And I think I called at 2 and said, I'm not coming home. Not because I was trying to prove a point. I just was like, wow, I have this new level of relationship with him. We are now, we have transitioned a little bit farther away from the child parent to the child managing an adult.
That's right.
I mean, the parent managing an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an interesting moment for me.
Okay. I didn't have that moment because, like I said,
You never came home.
I just didn't come home.
You never came home. So
then I could just decide.
Right. So I mean, and they knew during the school year. They knew because the last semester that I was in school, I gave them your phone number. I didn't even have a place to live on campus that last semester. I didn't even have a place to live.
But you were at home.
Right. I had to take those last 3 classes.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed with you the whole fall semester while I was taking those 3 classes. And then the spring, and then I graduated. And then in the spring, I still stayed with you while I was trying to find my first job. And I stayed with you until I found my first job.
And it was a job that moved you to Frederick? Is that one?
No.
No, okay.
So I stayed with you until I found that first job. And then I stayed with you 8 more months while I worked that job. And then I bought my house.
Bought your house. 8 months?
8 months.
Okay.
I stayed with you through the fall of that next year. And by the spring of that next year, I had bought the house.
Okay.
So, they knew where I was. It wasn't a matter of not knowing where I was.
Right. They knew you were in good hands.
Well,
trustworthy hands.
Well, let's not go that direction on this podcast. Let's not go that direction.
But yeah,
yes, they were good hands. We'll just leave. I mean, I have so many pauses I want to say on that. What those hands do? It's just something I should. It's just
make pancakes in the morning.
Yes. That too. That too.
Yes. So, I know I left my parents high and dry. My mom would call around looking for me. Mm-hmm. And I said I would not do that to my college students. I had the expectation because you're right. I know how much we are alike. So I had the expectation that he would get there and be caught up in just the newness, the freedom and all of that. So, I said, I'm not gonna be a worrywart. I'm not gonna be like, where is he? What's going on? Also, we didn't have cell phones back then.
Right. The method of communication was a lot.
Right. So, we stayed tight through texting a lot. Just not stay tight, but just stay in communication that way. And I think if my mom had a cell phone that she could text me on and I texted her back, she might have felt a little bit differently than thinking she had to call me.
I'm not on that text
6 o'clock in the morning. We are on a text thread together. And I have one without, and so do you.
I know, really. Good. And he don't ever text me on that private text thread. He texts the group thread for me, and then he texts you the private text thread to say, I'm about to say these things to Dad. If on the regular text thread, is that all right?
Oh, gosh.
Am I lying?
That doesn't happen as often as you think.
That's a very strong, politically correct way to respond to a simple yes or no question. Does that happen? It does not happen as often as you think.
It's not a regular occurrence, no.
Okay. Okay.
Usually we actually have those conversations by phone.
Not any better. Not any better response.
Still, in any case, it's more rare. That's not one of the top topics that we talk about.
So as I was processing through all of these things today, I started thinking about myself. I think back, and I've mentioned this on the Sunday stream about my dad before I went to college, the summer before I went to college, where it was typically the same rule, which is tell me what time you're coming home, and if you're not going to make that time, call me. And that was kind of how our curfew, if you want to say, worked throughout my entire life living with them.
Okay.
But I'm the oldest, so I'm the child who everything gets experimented on.
Right.
How it's going to work.
Everything's new.
Everything's new for them too. And you don't always understand that as a kid, that
right.
These are new to them. This is new to them too. And he got, the summer before I went to school, I was hanging out a lot. We discovered basketball courts with lights, and I was playing basketball, 5-6 hours a day, just wherever, you just take your stuff around and you got a buddy come pick you up and y'all just go and you just hoop. And I came home really late one night, maybe, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning from being out hooping. And I called, said, I'm coming, I'll be out late. And he said, you think you can just come in this house anytime you want? And I was like, what? What are we talking about? You think you just come in this house just anytime you want?
Yeah, that's been kind of how it's been going.
And this is about 2 weeks before I leave to go to school. And he says, for the rest of the summer,
the next 2 weeks,
your curfew is 11 o'clock. I was like, What?
Why are you trying to punish me before I go off to college?
Your curfew is 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
It goes from no curfew
to the worst
11 o'clock.
Ninth grade. Oh, maybe not ninth grade.
I mean,
at least
he might as well just telling me it's time for bed.
Right.
So
once you in here, once you eating your vegetables.
Right. So I was 18, and I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. But, you know, I respect my parents. So if that's what he said he wanted me to do, I wasn't going to argue with that, even though I think he's not right. So I said, okay, that's fine. I'll be in the house at 11 o'clock until I go to school. And I immediately started figuring out how I could go to school early. Immediately trying to figure out what is the first day I can go to school.
And so this is the mindset that I didn't want him. On the one hand, you don't want to make home so comfortable that they never want to leave. And, that they just 30 years old talking about, can I still stay with you, and putting the name on the orange juice. But on the other hand, you don't want to be chasing your children. I don't know. Do you? Do you want to be chasing your children out of the house? Please respond in the comments, because, you want your freedom as well as theirs as they grow. You want them to launch into adulthood and be ready for adulthood. And that, comes with not being here. But it's like, how to toe that fine line, because also we know in 2024 it's the economy and the pay is not lining up. So these first jobs are not buying people houses like your first job.
Depends on where you live. It depends on the job and where you live.
I don't know. I feel like it's in a lot of places. Well, yes, of course it depends on the job. I mean, if you do get into something that is quite lucrative from the start, then, you might be able to. And you just are a good steward of your money, and you understand how to, look for a good interest rate on your mortgage, etc. But I mean, I'm okay with him being around for a little bit longer.
That's not happening. We'll get to that. We're going to jump to that. We're going to jump to that in a second. But
yeah.
let me finish this point, which is what I have, and I've said this to him, and I've said this to a couple other people, which is what I understand now that I didn't understand then. I did get out of the house very quickly after that.
Yeah, He chased you out. The reverse happened of what he intended to. He was trying to hold you close and keep you close and enjoy you for those last few weeks. And you flew the coop.
Yeah.
So the exact opposite of what he wanted to happen happened.
Right. So yes, he was feeling the loss of what was about to happen.
Yeah.
He was feeling the he's been a parent as long as, since I'm the oldest child, he's been a parent for that entire time.
Right.
18 years I've been taking care of you, and you're about
You've
to
been
go
here, and I see you every day,
right.
and I can
that's
see whether you're okay, and I can make
right.
sure that you have what you need.
And all that's about to change.
Yep.
And I don't know that he handled it well. But, he handled it.
He was trying to do his best.
What he could. How he could. He didn't handle it that way for the other kids. My brothers. He didn't handle it that way for my brothers. But that's fine. That again, as the oldest,
you get kind of what they learn on.
You learn on me. So that's fine. And so, I left. I don't even think and then about a week after I was in school, I took clothes. I took nothing but clothes and a sheet and a blanket and a pillow. That's all I took with me. I didn't have a microwave or food or any of those things. I had some clothes, a sheet, not even a fitted sheet. I'm talking just a regular loose sheet. Flat sheet, a pillow,
And you know you have those plastic beds in the college dorm. You didn't have a mattress pad.
I had none of that. I had none of that. I just left. And there was value.
Wait. Soap, washcloth, towel, toothbrush. You had to at least take one washcloth, one towel, and a toothbrush.
So I had some toiletries, but but I also, because I played basketball at the time, the locker room is full of towels and stuff like that. So you can just take, I just take a couple home with me and I'll be fine.
Okay.
So, and the coach had us in the gym, working
quite a bit. Most of your showers were taken there.
No, I mean my shower was taken back at the spot too. But some of those things I bought when I got there, you go to school with some friends.
You go to Timbuktu,
and they show you, where's the grocery store. They show you where the grocery store is. You get a couple of things
you need,
and you just go from there. So,
that's funny.
But so I took very little, very, very. I saw how we packed him to go to school.
Yes, you were just watching the process happen. We took a room in the house and just had piled, stacks of things.
And you heard me say that.
He said nobody helped me make sure I had what I needed.
But let me go
not
on
to say that they weren't.
But on about a week after I got to school, when it was the official check-in for everybody, they came. So everybody came up, and they brought a bunch of stuff with them.
Okay.
So
So you did have something around that experience of your parents supplying you with a bunch
that
of
we
stuff
think you need.
Yeah.
So they brought a bunch of stuff. So it was, and
it was just that you skedaddled out of there.
I got out there early, and then
they weren't ready. They didn't have the things.
Right. And again, they didn't know. I was somewhat the first generation to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of cousins who went to school, but my dad didn't go to college. My mom went away to college for a year, but then she came home, and she didn't like Michigan. I think she went to school in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Then Lil went to school in Michigan. Pat went to Howard for a couple of semester, and then they didn't like it, and they came home. And she lived up the street from Howard, so that she didn't.
Like, I'm going home.
Right, I'm going home. She just came out of class and jumped on a bus, a metro, and she was home. So I get everything you have said, and I just think that as parents now we have to recognize how to manage this, or
right, we're taking it day by day, instance by instance, semester by semester.
But I'll tell you the first thing that we did that was a change from me. I have what I consider to be sometimes knee-jerk reactions to things because I think I'm right. And it's just, I think I'm right. And Yalonda and Nathan tend to think the same way because they're the same person. So they are, of course you have years and years of experience on him, but the foundation of what you think is okay is usually the same. Is usually the same. So I knew that in this instance with him going over his friend's house, that I was going to be the deterrent. Like, I was going to be the one who was not going to be happy with this. And everybody else knew that I was going to be the one who was not happy with this.
True.
But I didn't want, when he asked, and he didn't actually ask.
Well, that goes back to something else that you said.
Yeah, I know. Which is if you
right. So if you ask me permission, then that means that I kick into full parenting mode, and
right.
I'm, the chances, you increase the chance of me saying, no,
just respond like a parent,
as opposed to if you just tell me I'm on my way here, I'm going there.
So which makes me think that y'all discussed this before he sent it to me.
No. No, when I found out about it, he had already texted you and he was showing me the text thread between the two of you. So he didn't come to me first. I mean, he came to me in a very general, because this is a topic that we've talked about before in through his childhood. He has always had a female friend here, there, and has wanted to, as kind of like a kid who is more like an only child than having a sibling. You want to get out of the only child environment and get to a place where there's somebody else your age that you can hang out with. And so he has asked before. So after you said the thing about, if you ask me permission, then I'm going to respond in kind, he said to me a little later, so does this also include that spending the night thing? And I was like, that's for you to find out.
So let me tell you what I found very interesting about your response. He may not have specifically said, look at this text before I send it, but y'all discussed it. You just told me how y'all discussed the situation.
I mean, these are conversations that happen, that conversation happened immediately after you said the permission thing. Like the next day, he didn't say, because I'm planning on asking, and what do you think? He just put it out there, and I put my response out there, because I have learned to do a lot less trying to negotiate between you and him, and what you might say and how he should say what he needs to say so that it comes across in a certain way. I have done that. I have tried to play that role but you are unpredictable. You are unpredictable in your response and what you think is okay, what you think is not okay. So I don't even try to guess. Say, you gonna have to go to him and you gonna have to have the conversation. And, it's good practice for him to, have difficult conversations, to open up a door to have a difficult conversation. That's good, a skill he's going to need for the rest of his life. So why not practice with his dad?
Sure. So the conversation which is had, we were able to get through that conversation. He didn't, like I said, he didn't really ask. He kind of presented it to me as I'm going to do this.
Right.
And I responded in kind to say, he used a lot of words. And I said, are you using a lot of words to say to me that
you're not coming home?
You're spending the night at this woman's house. And he was
young lady's house.
Yes. And he just said yes. And so the very first thing I did was say, let me talk to your mother.
Think about it. Yeah.
Let me talk to your mother, which is not always my first response. Sometimes I go just, with my gut response immediately.
Right. And just go with it. Yeah.
So, and then I talk to you and ask you what you thought about this to get your feedback. Not that I'm making a decision, because I want it to be our conversation and our decision with him.
Yeah.
And then the third thing I did was, before we made our decision, I kind of said, here is what we're thinking and what
to him.
Uh-huh. To say, let me give you some thoughts. We're
still considering it, and this is where we are.
Right. So it's almost, that is not treating him like a child. You can understand these things. And he said, I think all the points you're making are understandable points. And I said, okay, I'm glad you think so. I'm glad you think so.
Right.
I said, and at the end, I said, your mother and I say it's, are okay. We're going to say it's okay to do this.
Yeah.
And I said, but no, I'm not real comfortable with this, but I'm going to do it because you want to do it, because she says she thinks it's okay for you to do, and
specifically with these particular ladies. Now, if it had been someone else, as I said to you, that is, the response will be completely different. But the relationship has been what it has been for years now, and I feel like I felt like this would be the safest try. If we're going to try this, if we're going to do this experiment, this would be the safest one.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So he got permission to go. In fact,
he's there now.
He's there right now. While we are here recording this show, he's there, and he should be home tomorrow. And
hopefully all is well. Prayerfully all is well. Yes,
I expect
the expectation is that
everything
all is
will be
well.
fine.
It's all above board. Yes.
So, well, that
is a mouthful.
Yes. So
the adventure continues. As he ages and as he wants to do more things and wants to have more control over his own comings and goings.
Right. So, I don't know what your situation might be if you got kids coming up to this young adult age, or if you got kids who are beyond it. Then, but I would love
to hear. Or you're just going by your own experience as a person having gone through this time.
We would love to hear your thoughts on this matter in the comments.
Yes.
We figuring it out.
We're figuring it out.
As
best we can.
Hopefully, we won't have to have this conversation next summer.
Why? Because he won't be here.
Hopefully, he'll have an internship that takes him away.
Yeah, that is our hope.
We have a friend who just had their child had an internship this summer in Singapore.
Longer than the summer. He's going to be there for the first trimester.
Okay,
the summer first trimester.
5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
He's in Singapore on this school internship. Those are the types of things I want him to do.
We're looking for him to do.
So, minimally next summer, we got to get him up to a job that is at least 30 hours a week.
Right. Minimally.
You got to get 30 hours a week.
Not working 15, 16 hours at something that is not, right now he's working at something that supports his recreational interests. We want something that supports his academic and career interests.
I want something that supports his expenses.
That too, yes.
I just want something to support.
What happened to temp agencies?
I don't know.
Because that's how I got jobs in between some times in my life. I won't be specific about semesters because sometimes it was an internship that I got through the career office at school. But when I didn't have access to that, I called the temp agency. I had typing skills, and they would stick me at, I worked at law firms.
They tend to be clerical.
I think he could do clerical stuff and make money.
So
my clerical was the key, sort the mail.
The key to what you're saying is make money.
Right.
And you were a hustler. I was a hustler in that we didn't want
wanted
to
things
ask our parents.
We didn't want to ask our parents.
We wanted things we didn't want to ask our parents, and I'm trying to get him, and he's getting closer.
He is getting close. He is starting to recognize that he does want things.
That he wants things, and that things cost, and that cost is your time. I told him at a young age, you have 2 ways to make money in this world: your mind or your back.
Right.
You gotta decide which one you want to use.
I personally refuse to use my back. I used my back one time for my very first job, and
that was just hot dogs.
Mopping that floor, coming home smelling like onions and grease. I did that for as short a period of time as I could. Next job, law firm.
So we're going to get him there.
Yes.
That's the next thing for him, and that's the next phase to say you need a job. We just had to fix his car because his car had some issues, and that was $2,500. And so I'm thinking to myself, you need some money. You need some money. Cars are not just gas and go.
Right. You need real money beyond the little bit of gas, beyond going thrifting at the thrift stores.
Right. So
yeah, some real money.
We're working on that.
Yes.
We're working on that. Next steps. So housekeeping.
Please join us on Sunday nights, twitch.tv/DJC Sharp, where DJ Sharp here plays tunes that you're gonna love, and I just chat up in the chat with the folks who come in, and we kick the Willy Bobo and have a great time on Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. This is the third Sunday coming up.
So by the time this comes out, that third Sunday will be gone. So we're coming to the fourth Sunday, which is Freestyle Fourth Sundays.
Yes.
Freestyle Fourth Sundays. And I think we'll do a Old Faithful, maybe we'll do Battle of the Bands.
Oh, okay.
Where we do all the slow jams from all the bands.
Yes.
Not groups. And I'm not, and I mean,
you might do some groups in there like Mint Condition.
That's a band.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as Mint Condition is in there.
Mint Condition is a band.
But then,
New Edition is a group.
Jodeci, right.
Jodeci is a group. They're not a band. In order to be a band,
you got to play instruments.
You got to play instruments.
Yes.
You can't just sing. Singers are groups. I need bands. So bands would be like
Earth, Wind and Fire.
The Internet is a band.
Cameo.
Band.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot of 70s, some 80s. There was very 90s, few bands.
Some 2000s.
There's very few bands in the 90s. Mint Condition is a band in the 90s. And that's the only band that I can even think of from the 90s. And the next band that I can even think of is the Internet.
Yeah. So join us.
I mean, you can think of
through
Nirvana and those types of,
but they won't be played in the basement. That's the day. That's how we rock on Sunday nights. We're rocking in the basement, so it's going to be basement grooves. It's going to be R&B heavy. So yeah, come through. What you will have missed by the time you listen to this is
Triple Play Third Sunday.
Triple Play Third Sunday. Keep that in mind for the next Sunday. Triple Play Third Sunday. That means each artist gets 3 songs played
in a row.
Yeah,
right. Three songs.
Triple Play Third Sunday. Anyway, you got to come through to experience it. We're not even describing it as fun as it is. We have an awesome time. It's just a couple of hours on Sunday night to wind down for the week. Before we start the week.
Yes. And now that I don't have any gigs for the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to.
I can breathe. I've been a DJ widow a lot from this whole summer.
Yeah. Summer gets busy. It gets busy in the summer. And I'm not even a busy one. I know some guys who are even way busier.
Yeah, but you're busy enough.
I'm busy enough for you.
For our lifestyle, yes.
Perfect. So this is a new topic for us. And because it's a new topic for us, we talk about in our book how our song is still being written. The playlist of our life is still being written. So we hope that you can take this time to listen to what we say and that this can help you discover your own rhythm of love so that you can learn to
live by the rhythm and love by the rhythm.
Thank you so much.
Peace and soul.
We hope you've enjoyed another exciting episode of Rhythm of Love, the podcast, hosted by Clarence and Yalonda Lewis.
Theme song by Kendra R.
Book graphics by Rihanna Denise.
More information is available at cylentertainment.com.
Please join us on Sunday nights for our live stream on twitch.tv/DJC Sharp.